Let me ask you something. What if Seattle is dying and we don't even know it? This story is about a seething, simmering anger that is now boiling over into outrage. It is about people who have felt compassion, yes, but who no longer feel safe, no longer feel like they are heard, no longer feel protected. It is about lost souls who wander our streets, untethered to home or family or reality, chasing a drug which in turn chases them. It is about the damage they inflict on themselves, to be sure, but also on the fabric of this place where we live. This story is about a beautiful jewel that has been violated, and a crisis of faith amongst a generation of Seattleites falling out of love with their home. There is another part of this story, too. It's about a solution, an idea for a city that has run out of them. And I ask again, what if Seattle is dying and we don't even know it? The dirt and the wheat and the wide open sky of a hard, hot land is where Larry Yockey came to be and came to stay. The same goes for his father and his grandfather and his great-grandfather before that. He walks the same paths they walked, lives in the same house they lived in, works the same 2,400 acres they worked.
It's kind of funny. I've had conversations with other people that have tech jobs, engineering jobs, all this, and they go, well, what do you do for a living? I says, no, not much. I just grow food. They'll look at me and think about that, and they go, well, that's kind of important. I says, yeah, it is.
That's Larry on the left, many, many harvests ago. This place, this way of life, it's his history and his future and his everything in between.
This is more than just a job. It's 24/7. You can see out here, wide open country. We love it out here. We know everybody. We got neighbors here. We know everybody from all the towns around here. I know people from 60, 70 miles around here.
There's a picture of Larry and one of his daughters, Amanda, looking out, and it's easy to imagine the two of them standing there, considering the farm and the life and the road they have taken. Some time ago, he was having back pains, and it wasn't going away, so he had some tests done.
Well, they diagnosed me with melanoma. Immediately, they sent me through all the tests, and it had already spread all throughout my skeletal structure, so it was already at stage 4.
They've knocked it back some, but with harvest season around the corner and Larry carrying around a cracked hip and 2 cracked ribs, something had to give.
I don't look like it, but I just flat can't do it. And doctors said no.
That's when a guy named Brian Doyle and a guy named Jim Hyder went to work.
Kind of reached out to the guys, so the guys that didn't have to move real far, with the equipment and things, and then word of mouth.
And so the other morning, a bunch of trucks showed up at Larry's place and 60 or so neighbors. And there were 17 combines and 12 tractors with bank-out wagons, and the whole bunch of them started cutting down Larry's wheat. They call it a harvest bee. It's when all the hearts of all the farmers from all around come together to beat as one. Brian conducted.
Start migrating this way, we'll put you in with DeWalt and Duggar and maybe send one to Kimball.
They chewed up a year's worth of Larry Yockey's sweat and spit it out into the wagons.
It's just awe-inspiring to see how fast these fields are evaporating now under these machines. It's just amazing.
And all Larry could do was stand there and say thank you to anyone who would listen.
Oh, just gratitude. It's not describable, the gratitude I have for what's going on today. I'd say it's just an amazing feeling.
They did in 6 hours what it normally takes Larry and 3 or 4 hired hands 3 long weeks to do. Then they all quietly slipped away to work on their own farms, each knowing full well that he'd do the same for them. The next morning, Larry drove around the farm and looked over what had happened, and he said it was like magic. Of course, there's still the matter of the cancer, and Larry says a little more magic there would be nice too.
I'm buying time now, but you always keep your fingers crossed. Of course you hope you can lick it, you know. But some people ask, well, why do you keep trying to still hang on farm? And I says, it's what I do. And that's the best way I can stay positive, do what I can do out here.
There's that picture of Larry and one of his daughters, Amanda, looking out. Now you will understand why. Spread out before them, as plain as day, was the reason Larry Yockey farms. The reason he loves the dirt and the wheat and the wide open sky of a hard, hot land, just like his father and his grandfather and his great-grandfather before that. They use deadly drugs, and they sell those drugs for $10 a dose. And over they steal us blind to get the $10. And they pollute our streets and parks and neighborhoods. And they live in filth and despair like animals. And we allow it, all of it. We used to talk about compassion. And when the madness that is always patiently waiting off in the distance finally moves in and wraps its arms around them, and in the end it always does, the suffering escalates exponentially until the misery is a white-hot pain that never stops, never rests. This man in the downtown core of our city was suffering, in distress. Once he fell down, he couldn't get back on his feet again, so he sat there for a long time. At the exact same time, just across the street, there was another man, also apparently in the middle of a drug crisis, staggering out of it, lost in some other world. You can see the same thing on a lot of corners, every single day. To leave them alone is a death sentence. Sooner or later they die, on the streets or in tents or in low-barrier tiny houses. To leave them alone is to shame ourselves. And that's why they need help. They don't need camps and injection sites and bags of free socks. They need help, the kind that takes courage, the kind that gives them and Seattle a fighting chance. They need intervention. His name is Chris Cummins, and he drives truck for Safeway. He makes his deliveries, and the miles pile up and the time passes by. He is one of the lucky people who loves their work.
I go to a job that I love. I get to go drive around, listen to music. I drive a beautiful piece of equipment. What more could I ask?
And most every night in Tacoma, as he approaches the Safeway store on Proctor Street, a beautiful little thing happens.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Chris. Hey, Chris.
Hi, buddy.
It's a simple greeting from an admirer, but it's so much more. Seth is a bright, engaging, wildly curious boy with an incredible memory for details and dazzling green eyes.
One-on-one interaction is tough. He's kind of awkward when it comes to social skills and the cues and interacting, but if you can connect with him on what he's interested in and he can connect with you, then he's more open to trying to converse.
What are you going to be when you grow up? Don't look at Dad. Don't look at Dad. Huh?
I want to be a Safeway truck driver when I grow up.
Really?
Yeah.
You think you could do that?
Uh-huh.
Seth is autistic, and he absolutely positively adores trucks, specifically Safeway trucks. He studies a map of all the Safeway stores in the region.
Auburn 531.
He memorizes the numbers of each store and every delivery truck.
Right by 1978, 1246.
He knows the names of all the drivers. But there is only one driver that draws Seth to the porch every night at 8:30 to wait. Only one truck that has the whole family standing on the corner of 24th and Adams at 8:45, night after night.
Do you wave to him?
Yes, I wave to him.
Every single night?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, every single night I wave to him. Here he comes!
It's like clockwork. Chris makes sure to be on time, Monday through Friday. He comes the same way, and they say the same things.
Hi, Chris!
Hi, buddy.
And then Seth does his little dance. But the wave and the hello are just the beginning of the ritual that has come to mean so much to one boy and his family.
Chris got an new trailer last night.
The Baldersons follow along down the street to the store. Seth sets up milk crates on the sidewalk as Chris gets to work. And as Chris unloads, Seth and his dad keep count.
Number 3! Number 4! Number 5!
Help me, Chris.
Hey, you're on your own, buddy. That's your father.
Seth is impulsive with his words and also with his love. Unabashed, uninhibited. It's his gift. And the truth is, the wave on the corner and the counting of the pallets are just the setup.
That's just killing time until he gets that chance to sit with Chris and talk about everything and anything.
So you go sit down
I go sit down, solve the problems of the world
with your friend.
with my friend Chris.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool, isn't it?
yeah.
They just sit and talk, the way friends do.
What do you get when you cross a Smurf with a cow?
What?
Blue cheese!
They discuss the Mariners and the Seahawks and their pets and the funny things in life.
But my dog's finding like these big chunks of bark and bringing them in and all these twigs.
He likes it watching you unload so that he can sit here and hang out with you.
Yeah, and I get to hang out with him, and if it puts me behind at night, I don't care. If I get home late, it's cool.
Chris doesn't have children of his own, but one thing for sure, he has a friend.
It's been a blessing for us to have Chris really and truly in our life, because he means so much to our son. He's taken the time to be part of this young man's life.
In a positive way.
Yeah, so sorry.
So that's how they spend their evenings, a kid and his pal and a sweet friendship that plays out every night on the corner of 24th and Adams in Tacoma. And when the conversation is finished, Seth gets to sit up in the cab of the truck for a bit.
What's the store number for Squim?
1448.
And what's the store number for Port Townsend?
538. Bye, Chris.
And then it's time to say so long.
Bye, Chris.
And a good man, who is a good friend, drives off into the night.